so important for you to understand. If somebody said, just in one phrase, what's the whole Bible about? Well, it's easy. The answer is the gospel. And this morning I asked one of my friends, one of your friends as well, to come share a little bit about how the gospel has impacted her life. So could you guys do me a favor and put your hands together for the Michelle Simmons? Stand wherever you like.
Hi guys.
Hi Michelle.
Okay. A little bit nervous. Okay. Well, I've heard a lot of testimonies here at Frontline, and almost all of them start off with I was raised in a Christian home, and that's not the way it was for me. I wasn't, and I can't help but thinking that it would have been a lot easier for me if I had been, but I wasn't, and that's just the way it is. Not to say anything bad about my family or anything. I mean, my family's great. I love them more than anything. They provide for me and love me and support me and everything, but they're just not Christians, and so that's just what I've had to do. And so because of that, I grew up and I never knew the gospel. I knew who God was. I knew that God created the world from like culture and stuff. And I knew that Jesus was the Son of God, but I didn't know that like from my family. I just knew that because, you know, like culture says that. And through middle school, I guess I was like agnostic or maybe like borderline atheist. I had heard the Big Bang Theory, and I thought that made sense, so I was just like, oh, that's how it happened, and I never thought about God or religion. It just didn't really matter to me. Freshman year of high school, I met the girls who are now my best friends, and sophomore year, they asked me to come to church with them. So I went on Wednesday night, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, we played a game, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty fun, so I started coming pretty regularly on Wednesday nights, and after I'd been going a few months, I started to think, oh, well, like, this is pretty legit, you know, church is cool, God's pretty cool, and I decided that if somebody was going to ask me what religion I was going to say Christian. I really had no idea, like, what it meant to say I was Christian. I was just like, somebody asked me, I was just going to say I'm Christian. I wouldn't have known what to say if they were like, well, tell me why. And just didn't say that. And junior year, my last year, junior year, at spring retreat, that was the first time that saying I was Christian really meant something to me. That was the first time I like really heard the gospel. Like on the first night, they like were asking people what the gospel was, and I was terrified that they were going to ask me because I had no idea what it was. And so that was the first time that I heard it. And on the last night of spring retreat, we took communion, and Jeremy said, don't take communion if you don't like really mean it and really mean it in your heart. So I prayed about it for a long time, and not a really long time, but I prayed about it, and I decided I was going to take communion. And I took it, and it was like the best feeling I've ever felt in my whole life. And I felt like really loved and really whole, I guess. And so I felt like really, really happy and like, oh, this is so cool. But then I started thinking, and I realized that since I know the gospel, I would be going to heaven. But what about my family? Because I wasn't raised in a Christian home, so my family would be going to heaven. And that was like really bothering me. And so I was too scared to tell anyone that I was like really worried about my family because I was afraid that they were going to like judge me or something. It sounds really stupid now, but I didn't want to tell anyone. So I was just sort of like suffering in silence, just terrified about my family. And so that was really bothering me. And then it just so happened the last day of retreat, right as we were getting ready to leave, Audrey came up to me and like asked me about my family. I don't know where Audrey is. Rich. She's awesome. She asked me about my family, and all my emotions just sort of like exploded on her. And so I like told her everything. And she prayed with me, and she really helped me a lot. And so I went home from retreat, and I wanted to tell my family the gospel. And so I went over it last night, and I did not cry. But I went home, and I tried to tell my family the gospel, and it went about as bad as it could possibly go. Like, I had just never grown up in a Christian home, and so I was so scared that they were gonna like reject me or something. So it wasn't more like telling them the gospel. It was more like, so what do you think about God? And I tried to talk to my parents first, and they were like, oh well, as long as you're like a good person, you still go to heaven. And I knew that wasn't right, but I was like, oh yeah, because I didn't really know what to say. And so I just sort of left that alone. And then that like hurt really bad because I knew it wasn't right. But I tried to tell my brothers. And, I'm so sorry, I'm such a baby. But my brothers were they made fun of me. And they're like, well, God isn't real, and it's all fake, and religion's stupid, and religious people are stupid, and it's all just, it's not real. And I really didn't know what to say to that. And that really discouraged me because they were people that I look up to, and well, they're saying that's fake. And so, and I was really bothered by that. And so then I started thinking, well, I know my family isn't going to heaven because they don't know the gospel, but what about all the other people out there in the world that like they just haven't had the chance? And they're like people in like China or like Africa who like far off civilizations who have just like never even had the chance to know the gospel. What about them? Why don't they get into heaven? That's not fair. Why should I get into heaven when I live in America and it's easy for me to go to church and it's easy for me to know the gospel? What about the people who it's hard for them? And so I was just so confused because I'm like, God, why is it that I finally want to be a Christian? And why is it that as soon as I really want to come to you, my heart is just broken all the time? And so I started talking to Jeremy, and he gave me this DVD. It was a DVD sermon, and I listened to it, and it kind of was what happens to people who don't know Jesus. And it didn't help me like understand, because I still don't understand, but it helped me more accept that we're all sinners, and because we're all sinners, we all deserve hell. And so it helped me more accept that God is not sending people who don't know the gospel to hell. He's saving people that do know it from hell. And after I realized that, I more realized that God was breaking my heart to make me fall away from Him. He's breaking my heart and lead people to Him. Because if your heart doesn't break for all those people out there, then you're never going to be able to bring them to Him. So I guess that's the message that I wanted to give. And I guess another thing was, if you think that like church is cool, but you're just saying you're a Christian, you don't know what it means, that's not the way you should be living. You should be living with everything for God and let trying to break your heart for the people who don't know him, because if your heart isn't broken for them, then you're not going to be able to go in.